Hey guys, it's Emily, and here we are, the first video of many that I plan on talking about the television show Supernatural. Now, before I get into things, I do want to address what's been going on in the world, which is, of course, police brutality and the Black Lives Matter movement. I 100% stand behind the Black Lives Matter movement. If you at all feel the need to respond to Black Lives Matter with All Lives Matter, I sincerely implore you to take a second and realize that no one is saying only Black Lives Matter. No one is saying that. It's actually just that the Black community is being treated as if they don't matter. So it's important for us to say, no, hey, Black lives do matter. The murder of George Floyd in Minneapolis by police sparked much needed conversations about the systemic racism not only within the police of this country, but just in our country as a whole. Racism didn't end when the enslaved people were freed. It did not end when the civil rights movement happened. It just changed. It changed into a more insidious thing that you can just casually ignore because white privilege. Great. It's been deeply embedded in our daily lives, and we need to combat that at every chance that we get. That means calling out racist practices, calling out casual racism in our daily lives, and that means voting people into office that can affect change. Now, obviously that's easier said than done because there's also voter suppression that we have to deal with. I've put a bunch of links in the description, petitions to sign, charities to donate to, and some reading and viewing material that I have watched and read that I think very much informed me and educated me, and I'm going to continue to educate myself on the very, very serious issues of racism within our society. So I hope that you join me with those things as well. And it's not lost on me that, one, I'm white, and two, I am now going to be talking about one of the whitest TV shows on television. Supernatural has a race problem. It very much. The representation of Black people is appalling at times, most times. And the representation of all people of color is just gross. And LGBTQI plus people, pretty much, they're very few and far between. So their representation issue is very fervent throughout the entire series, and still to this day is a problem. And there's no excuse for that. There's no excuse for any of the racist tropes that they use. There's no excuse for any of that. But this whole series that I'm doing is not to ignore those issues. It's not to just go, oh, I love this show, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, I'm going to talk about things that I like about the show, but I'm not going to ignore issues that come up. I'm going to try as hard as I can to talk about issues when they come up, but at the same time, I am not an authority on race. I'm absolutely not. I'm a white woman, and I don't want to speak out of turn at all. So, really, I've been reading up on the internet from people of color, posts that they post about the race issues on Supernatural. And I found this blog called Fandom Color of Our Skin, which, does exactly that. It's a few people of color running this blog who are talking about the race issues on Supernatural. And it's been very eye-opening and very interesting to read about and also appalling. But people that are running this blog, they don't hate Supernatural as far as I know. They care about this show, but obviously want to highlight those issues that it has. And so that's kind of where I'm coming from in all of this. Like, I obviously love Supernatural. It's one of my favorite shows. But I am very aware that it is problematic in very many ways. So I'm never going to shy away from the problematic stuff, and I'm never going to excuse it. So knowing all of that, I do want to invite people of color into this series or into another series completely, if any are interested in talking about the race issues of Supernatural, because Again, I'm white. I don't want to just speak out of turn or anything like that. So every time I talk about a blog or anything, I have asked permission to use it. Anytime I talk about race issues in my series, it's because I've read posts on Tumblr about them from people of color. And I'm not going to just sit there and go point by point about why this is an issue, why this is an issue. I'm going to say, this is an issue, and point you to the link in the description where I read about it, because I don't want you to listen to me talk about it. I want you to listen to them talking about it, to the people that it affects, because it doesn't affect me in the same way. It makes me angry because I don't like racism. So I don't want to take the attention from people who are actually having these experiences. Hey, just jumping in here to say, I could be completely wrong about this. Please let me know if this is the right way to be doing such a thing. And if not, please tell me what I should be doing. I don't want to be doing the wrong thing. I just want to highlight people's voices the correct way. Okay, thanks. Bye. So that's where I'm coming from. Now, I want to talk about Supernatural. This video was supposed to be me talking about Eric Kripke's episodes. Now, when I went back and watched Eric Kripke's episodes, which span from season 1 to season 6, he wrote one episode in season 6, I realized I couldn't contextualize them. Like, I was like, okay, I'm watching so much happen, but so little happen. Especially the beginning, the first 3 seasons. When I do rewatches of Supernatural, I usually watch from season 4 on, because my bias is, okay, I like Cass and Dean, and so I wasn't interested in the show until season 4. I watched all of seasons 1 through 3 a couple times, but I didn't care about them as much, and I still don't. And that's what I'm going to be talking about today, because I realized if I couldn't contextualize them, no one else is going to be able to either. Especially if you're watching this series and you have never seen Supernatural, okay? So here I am talking about seasons 1 through 3. It's going to be a summary and then my opinions, which is basically just a really long script coverage, which is really hard to do because it's so many hours of television. If you don't know what a script coverage is, it's basically a summary and your opinion of a feature film script or a pilot of a TV show, which can span anywhere between, 30 minutes to 2 hours, 2.5 hours. But I did a script coverage basically about, how many hours is that? It's 45 hours of television. Oh my god. So I did a script coverage of 45 hours of television, which is insane. So this is going to be kind of long, but bear with me. I'm going to be reading a lot of this summary that I wrote, and I'm still going to cover the writers in the way that I said, because I'm actually really interested in doing that. But I think the way I have to do it is watching all of the show, and I'm taking notes the whole time. That's the big clincher here, is I'm taking notes of all of the episodes that I can go through and say, oh, this episode was written by this person and it has this in it. So that's kind of what I'm doing right now. But once again, let me lay my biases down. I ship Dean and Cass. That really has nothing to do with the first 3 seasons because Cass is not in them. But something that will color my opinion is I already don't like the first 3 seasons of Supernatural, so this video is kind of going to be negative overall. I am sorry about that, but I'm also not, because that's how I feel about these seasons. This is the second time I've filmed this entire thing, just so you know, and I filmed for like 4 hours yesterday, so now I'm filming this again, and hopefully it won't take 4 hours, because I will literally go insane. The only reason it took 4 hours is because my camera kept overheating, so it might happen again today, but I've actually kept my fan on, and I'm going to have to edit out the sound of my fan because it is so obnoxious, and I'm going to leave it in right now so you can hear it. Yeah, keep keeping my fan on so my camera doesn't overheat. Another bias, I guess, that I have is that Dean is probably my favorite character. However, that bias doesn't really come into play in this video because I can't stand Dean in the first 3 seasons of this show. And I've realized that from watching it again. So now I'm going to give you an overview of each season, and then I'm going to dive into my opinions on certain characters, certain storylines, and all that. So bear with me. Season 1 is all about finding John Winchester. In the pilot, we learn that Dean and Sam lost their mom, Mary, early in life. Sam was about 6 months old, and Dean was 4 years old. Mary dies at the hands of a yellow-eyed demon. The yellow-eyed demon is the name that they've given this creature because they don't know his name, his actual name, which is Azazel, but I will call him yellow-eyed demon for a while. And John, Sam and Dean's father, swears vengeance on this demon because he killed Mary. He then goes on to raise Sam and Dean in the life of hunting supernatural creatures.
When I told Dad I was scared of the thing in my closet, he gave me a .45.
What was he supposed to do?
I was 9 years old.
In the first season, we get glimpses here and there into their past, showing that John was at best neglectful as he pursued the demon that killed their mother. Dean had to raise Sam from a young age, and his life kind of revolved around keeping Sam safe. So in the beginning of the series, we see Mary die on the ceiling. And then we fast forward a little bit to Sam's life in college. He got out of the life. It had to be a couple years because he was going into a law school and he had already finished pre-law. But he had gotten a 174 on his LSATs. He's very smart. Anyway, but then Dean comes back into his life and tells him John is missing.
Dad's on a hunting trip, and he hasn't been home in a few days.
Sam reluctantly takes the weekend to go find John with Dean. But when it becomes obvious that it will take more than a weekend, Sam goes back to California, and he finds Jess, who is his girlfriend, dying in the exact same way as his mother.
No!
So, fridging happens twice in one episode. Fridging is when, in fiction, you kill a woman to further the man's storyline. So that's exactly what happens with both Mary and Jess. Killed Mary so that John would swear vengeance against this demon, and killed Jess so that Sam would do the exact same thing. So that's great. This sets up the rest of the season and the series, and Dean and Sam search for John, who is leaving them hunts to do in his wake. They're on one long road trip, and it honestly doesn't end until like season 8, I believe, when they finally get a permanent home. But of course they do have a home. It's Baby, Dean's 1967 Chevy Impala, who by some people's standards is the third lead of the show. Just
saving people, hunting things. The family business. By
the end of the season, the boys have learned a little bit more about the yellow-eyed demon, and they meet up with John, and my dog is barking, so I'm really sorry. I have to keep going. He's barking for my neighbor to come give him pepperoni. I can't explain it. The boys learn a little bit more about the yellow-eyed demon, and they meet up with John. However, Yellow Eyes' daughter, Meg, who completely forgot that Meg was Yellow Eyes' daughter. No idea how I forgot that. But Meg is actually a character that continues on into like season 8. Meg lures John into a trap while Dean and Sam zero in on Yellow Eyes with the one weapon that can kill him, the Colt. It's a gun, special gun, that can kill a lot of things. With John captured by the demons and Dean and Sam not killing Yellow Eyes, unfortunately, Dean and Sam turn to Bobby Singer, who is basically their surrogate father and actually cared about them as people. He's one of John's hunting buddies. They turn to him for help. They capture Meg and interrogate her into telling them where John is, and she does, but they exorcise her back to hell and go find their father, who has unfortunately been possessed by Yellow Eyes. John breaks through this possession and he begs Sam to shoot him with the Colt because that'll kill this demon that they've been wanting to kill for basically the boys' whole lives. But of course, if he shoots him, he will kill his father. So he shoots him in the leg, and it allows John to expel the demon from his body, but he's still alive. The demon is still alive, and John is still alive. But they had gotten out of that situation. But then they were T-boned by a semi-truck. And, of course, the driver of the truck was a demon. Not Yellow Eyes, but a demon that was probably doing Yellow Eyes' bidding. And that's the end of season 1. In season 2, John and Sam seem to be okay from the accident, but Dean is on his deathbed. So John makes a deal with Yellow Eyes to trade his life and the Colt for Dean to live. So John dies, but not before telling Dean a little secret. It's not revealed until later on, but...
He said that I had to save you, and that if I couldn't,
You'd what, Dean?
I'd have to kill you.
And Dean's like, what the fuck? Like, what are you talking about? And so he has no idea what that means. So he kind of just ignores it for a little bit, but he keeps a close eye on Sam for the majority of the season. And when he does finally tell Sam what John said, Sam is then convinced that he's inherently evil because he's been having these visions and nightmares and they've been coming true, and he thinks there's something wrong with him. There's something evil. Sam and Dean stumble upon the Roadhouse. It's a hole-in-the-wall pub owned by Ellen Harbell, who was a friend of John's, kind of. The Roadhouse is a welcome environment for hunters, and Ellen has a daughter who's about Sam's age, but of course Dean is the one to be interested in her. I don't know. They're only 4 years apart. Doesn't really matter, but it's just a long line of... I'll get into it later. Jo, Ellen's daughter, wants to be a hunter like her father was, but her father died while hunting, which apparently was like John's fault. So her mom is not keen on the idea of her being a hunter. Ash comes along with the Roadhouse, and he is a computer genius rocking a mullet.
Dig the haircut.
All business up front, party in the back.
He is honestly so fun. I love Ash so much. Unfortunately, he lasts very short amount of time. It's very sad. But he lives at the Roadhouse, and upon the Winchesters' request, he sets up an alert system to monitor the signs of the Yellow-Eyed Demon, kind of like omens in areas, specific things that they've noticed have been popping up when the Yellow-Eyed Demon is around that area, so they'll know where he'll be next. In the meantime, Sam's visions are getting worse, and they meet more special children with abilities like Sam. And some of them have similar backstories to Sam, where their mom died in their nursery when they were 6 months old, and they're all the same age as Sam. They all have abilities like Sam. Not the same abilities, but they all have abilities. Azazel, the Yellow-Eyed Demon, bled into Sam's mouth when he was 6 months old. And he has demon blood in him, and that is giving him abilities to see things ahead of time, and he has those visions. That's why all those other people have those special abilities as well. And they also meet Gordon Walker, who is one of the black characters on the show that is portrayed as a villain. Gordon is a hunter who unfortunately has a very narrow view of the supernatural world. He thinks you're a monster, you're evil, which is not true, especially in the episode that he's like introduced in. They meet these vampires who are not actually hurting people. They're living off of like animal blood, whatever.
They're all the same. Evil, bloodthirsty.
No. But he doesn't care. He's like, nope, they gotta die. He also has a fridged sister who turned into a vampire before Gordon killed her himself. So he only wants to kill these vampires, doesn't care. When Gordon finds out that Sam has a supernatural aspect of his own, Gordon makes it his mission to kill Sam. He doesn't succeed, and Sam and Dean have him arrested. When the cops see all of Gordon's hunting weapons in his car. It's not great at all. In the meantime, Dean and Sam are fugitives themselves because they are being hunted by the FBI from a misunderstanding with a shapeshifter that was pretending to be Dean and killed all these people in season 1, or one person at least, in season 1. And in walks Victor Henriksen, who is amazing, and I love him. He is also an antagonist, but he's not anywhere near as like villainous as Gordon is set up to be. He's the FBI agent in charge of their case, and he's dead set on bringing these guys in custody and all that. But Sam and Dean evade him, painting an even bigger target on their backs. Towards the end of the season, Sam disappears, and he wakes up in this abandoned town. Ash calls Dean and Bobby, saying that they need to come to the Roadhouse to talk to him, probably about the demon things. But he doesn't get to explain that. With Sam in that abandoned town, he finds the other special children there with him, Ava, Andy, Jake, and Lily. All of them have some sort of psychic ability, and Yellow Eyes has a plan for them. He wants them to fight each other until only one of them is left. That one person will be his soldier, and they will be the one to fight alongside him in the war that he's planning. One of the other special children helps Sam get a psychic message out to Dean telepathically. So he'd gone to the Roadhouse to find Ash, but he found it in ashes. I'm so sad. It was burnt to the ground with Ash inside, unfortunately, and he died. Sam's message to Dean tells him where they all are, and Bobby's like, I know where that is, magically. But anyway, contrivance aside, as Dean and Bobby make their way there, Ava kills Lily and Andy, and Jake kills Ava, and then right as Dean shows up, Jake stabs Sam in the back, killing him as well. Actually killing him. He actually dies. Dean, of course, cannot live with the fact that his brother is dead because they are codependent. Say it with me. They are codependent. So he makes a deal with another demon, just like his dad did. But his dad died instantly. And normally with demon deals, you get 10 years. But of course, they're not going to do that with John. He's literally actively trying to hunt that demon down, and now he's begging for a deal with that demon. So he's like, nah, you get to die instantly. Also, Dean and Sam are kind of infamous at this point within the demon world, and Dean gets 1 year because they don't like him. And Sam gets brought back from the dead. Despite the fact that the entire season, Dean has been angry at John for doing the same thing for him, Dean's like, yeah, let's do it. Because he can't live without Sam. Codependency. When Sam gets back, Dean, and Bobby devise a plan with the help of Ellen Harvell to stop Jake, who was the one soldier to rule them all, from opening up the gates of hell. And Dean's trying not to say that he made a deal for Sam. He's trying to keep it a secret. Of course, that comes out in the end, but they're once again just a little too late to stop Jake from opening up the gates, and a bunch of spirits and demons come out of hell. Yellow Eyes is there, and John's spirit, who was in hell, helps them get a clear shot at the demon with the Colt. Dean shoots him, and the demon that killed their mom and Sam's girlfriend is finally dead. Bye-bye, Azazel. The truth about Dean's demon deal for Sam to come back from the dead is revealed, and Sam is very angry. This continues on into season 3, where they try to break Dean out of his demon deal because Sam doesn't want him to die. But Dean didn't tell him that if he tries to break this deal, Sam will instantly die. So for the first half of the season, they're arguing about saving Dean. This whole show, there's a lot of secrets, and it's frustrating. Early on in the season, Sam meets Ruby. At first, she seems like another hunter, and she saves Sam while he and Dean are on a hunt. It is eventually revealed that Ruby is a demon, but she's on Sam and Dean's side because she remembers what it's like to be a human, unlike most demons. She also says she knows a way to save Dean from going to hell. Dean is incredibly reluctant to work with her because she's a demon, but she proves her loyalty to them time and time again, saving them multiple times throughout the season. We also meet Lisa and Ben. This season, Lisa is an old flame of Dean's, and Ben is her son. Dean spends the entire episode thinking that Ben is his, and Lisa denies it entirely, and for some reason, people still believe in this fandom that Lisa is not telling the truth, which is kind of gross. The whole episode is gross, and I can't wait to talk about that. It's really disgusting. But anyway, and it was written by a woman. I don't understand. I will get into that when I talk about, I think it was Sarah Gamble. Anyway. Lisa is the image of the apple pie life that Dean is missing out on while pursuing hunting. But he continues on, especially knowing that he only has less than a year to live now. Another female character that's introduced this season is Bella Talbot. Bella is a collector of supernatural artifacts and items. Well, she collects them and then she sells them to the highest bidder. She's very much an antagonist, only interested in her own self-preservation. And she and Dean are always at odds, at each other's throats. It's very sexual.
You know, when this is over, we should really have angry sex.
Winchesters think the best way to get Dean out of his deal is to kill the demon that holds it. They spend a good portion of the season trying to find out who that demon is. Spoiler alert, her name is Lilith. This season's overarching storyline is simply get Dean out of his demon deal, and the side stories are of Bella and Gordon. Bella, who is constantly trying to thwart the Winchesters' attempts to save people in order for her to get a valuable object, and Gordon, who is on a murderous rampage to kill Sam. Plot twist, both of them die. It's revealed that Bella made a demon deal 10 years prior to kill her parents who were abusing her. Gordon is eventually turned into a vampire, and Sam kills him. At the end of the season, they were nowhere closer to getting Dean out of his deal. Bobby does find a way to track down Lilith, and they devise a plan to try to go after her, not even knowing whether that will work. Ruby shows up to help, but really, she's possessed by Lilith now. And as the time dwindles down, they fail, and Dean dies. And that's the end of season 3. God damn. Oh my god. So this is where I give you my opinion on this show, on these first 3 seasons. So, get ready. Listen. I love Supernatural, I do, but these are my least favorite seasons. I don't like them. Obviously, I appreciate what they do to set up the rest of the series. I understand that they are necessary. Not everything in them is necessary, but I understand that in order to get where we are today, which I actually like, we had to go through this, but I don't like it. I would say overall, my opinion of these first 3 seasons is that there's a lot of arguing happening. There's a lot of codependency. There's a lot of misogyny. There's a lot of racism. The writing in itself, and I'll tell you right now, as far as I know, there's only been one black writer on the show, and his name is Lawrence Andrews, and he wrote 1 episode in season 3, and he didn't write anything else ever again in the show, and I'm pretty sure that he was the only black writer. I can't say for 100% certainty because a lot of the writers, there's not a lot of information on them. The show is 15 years old, and some of these writers only did this or only did a couple other things, so I don't know a lot of information about their backgrounds and all that, but as far as I can tell, he's the only black writer on the show, and that's a problem. That leads to all of the issues that Supernatural has, because they don't have creative input from black people in that way, so they're getting everything wrong. But moving on to other things, let's talk about Dean. He's misogynistic, womanizing, and overcompensating. He's argumentative, and he's stubborn. So many things in the first 3 seasons. I'm like, who even is this guy?
I love the Smurfs. I gotta tell you, you are completely out of my brother's league.
Just let me put something on.
No, I wouldn't dream of it. Seriously.
So really, I don't know how to thank you. Must you cheapen the moment?
Yeah.
Obviously people change and characters change, and I'm so glad he changed in that way. Every woman that they save, basically, except for Sarah Blake, he is kissing for some reason. They want to kiss him, but why? Why do they want to kiss him? That's so, my hero, and it's just gross. I hate that. There's so many times that I wrote in the notes here, a line, and then ew next to it. And almost always it comes from Dean, because he's gross. I don't even think Sam ever said anything like that in the first 3 seasons. Maybe once. And I actually remember one specific instance where I was like, that's gross, that Sam did that. And it was when Bella is introduced, Bella Talbot. She's pretending to be a waitress to get something from them, and they watch her walk away. It's so gross, and they both do it. And it's why? And I know that it was a different time. It wasn't okay. It was never okay, but it was more accepted. So I really hate those things about Dean. The things I love about him, in the beginning at least, are that he cares deeply for the people in his life. He's sometimes actually funny. Sometimes he thinks he's being funny and it's being gross. But he is funny a lot of the time too. And he makes a lot of pop culture references, which is really fun to listen to. I don't know. And he's very resourceful. Like, he made an EMF meter out of a Walkman. That's awesome. So I love that about him. Moving on to Sam, there's not a lot that's negative about Sam. He's a good boy. He's very caring and smart. He, got 174 on his LSATs. He might be a little gullible, but that's really just because he believes the best in people. He believes Ruby to be a good person for him, even though she's really not. And in season 3, we don't find that out, but she's not good for a while. He believes that Meg is also good and she's also a demon. So he has a thing for believing demons to be good people, but he didn't know she was a demon. The only thing I would say, other than him being a little gullible, is that because he's so good, he's kind of boring. And I feel bad because I love Sam, and I'm not saying he's a bad character. Even now, he's still kind of boring. But there are intricacies to him because of the fact that he has demon blood in him. And it's very interesting and complex. But because I know, what I know about the show, and that it kind of just gets dropped. My point is, he is very caring, but he's kind of bland. He has storylines that are interesting, but as a character, Dean is so much more interesting to me, specifically, because he is an asshole. He has these conflicting things where he cares so much about people, but then at the same time, he's such a douchebag. At the beginning, he's a douchebag. Later on, he's not so much a douchebag, but he is very argumentative. Like I said, he's angry. He gets angry a lot. And he mentions that in the latest season as he's praying to Cass. Anyway, I'm trash. Moving on. Sam, I love you. You're just not my favorite character. My biggest issue with everything, between them specifically, is that they're codependent.
This obsession to save Dean? The way you two keep sacrificing yourselves for each other? Nothing good comes out of it.
And it's frustrating. It's so frustrating. And they also keep secrets from each other, which is very frustrating. And I understand that it has a narrative purpose, but honestly, that's lazy to me, to have conflict just because they're not talking to each other. And because they're gonna get mad, okay, but oh well. There's a lot of frustrating things in these seasons. John, namely. John Winchester is a piece of crap. In my notes it says John, no thanks. He is abusive, whether that be physical or emotional. It's implied that when Dean steps out of line in any way that bad things happen, but we don't know what. It's never actually outwardly said that he would hit Dean or anything, but Dean is afraid of his father. So how can you explain that other than abuse, emotional or otherwise? He's neglectful of his children because he let grief overcome him and started going on this murderous rampage of this demon and trying to kill it because it killed Mary. Okay, well, what about your family that is still alive, that you are now taking for granted and neglecting? And now Dean has to be Sam's parents. At 4 years old, he has to take care of Sam and keep Sam safe. And that's his life from now on. That's neglectful. That's abusive. So I have no care in my body for John whatsoever. And he's selfish. I'm not even a parent, but that pisses me off.
Yeah, well, what can I say? John just has that effect on people.
Bobby, on the other hand, is Sam and Dean's real father because he actually cared about them and took care of them when they needed it. And John brought them to him, but not all the time. He would drop them off at Bobby's sometimes, but he would also not, and make Dean take care of Sam as a child himself. It's insane. But Bobby is caring and he loves these boys more than anything. The best part about it is that he's not afraid to tell Sam and Dean when they're being stupid. Like when Dean made that deal to save Sam, he was so angry at Dean. But yet he's like, okay, well, we gotta take care of this. We gotta figure this out.
Are you not screwed in the head?
I couldn't let him die, Bobby. Couldn't. He's my brother.
How's your brother gonna feel when he knows you're going to hell? How'd you feel when you knew your dad went for you?
You can't tell him. You take a shot at me, whatever you gotta do, but please don't tell him.
And that's actual care for your children. So there you go. Love Bobby. Don't like that he's named after one of the producers, Robert Singer. But anyway, my favorite side characters, I put Bella, Victor, and Missouri. Missouri I did not mention. She was in one episode of season 1, and then she was brought back in season 13. She's a psychic, and she helped them with a ghost that was in their house that Mary died in. She's amazing, and she's hilarious and wonderful, and she's played by the amazing Loretta Devine, and I love her. But of course, she's seen once, and then she's gone, and then she's back in season 13, and then they kill her. I hate it. But Bella, I actually love Bella. She's an antagonist, and Victor. Bella and Victor are both antagonists, but I love them. Like, Bella, I love her. She is so, like, about herself, and I love that. The thing I don't like about her storyline is she made this deal to kill her parents because I don't know if just her dad was abusing her, but at least her mom didn't do anything about it, and she was like, gotta get out of this situation, so I want them dead. And she was like 14 or something at the time. But Sam and Dean don't know that the backstory, but they treat her like shit when they find out that she killed her own parents via this demon deal. And it's like, they were abusing her, and she was a child. And I mean, obviously there's no excuse for murder, but they were abusing her, and she was a child, and she didn't know how to go from there. And they didn't know the full story. And obviously she didn't have to tell them, and she felt that she could not tell them because they were always against each other. So it's not like she was trying to confide in them. But it was just so frustrating to watch. And I don't know, it made me feel gross. So that was something I did not like, but I love Bella as a character, and I wish she would come back at some point. I mean, obviously, there's only 7 episodes left, and 5 of them are already filmed, so if she does, I have no idea. But she could easily be a demon because she went to hell for her demon deal, so it would be awesome. I think that was something that a lot of people wanted to see, was Bella as a demon. Anyway, my least favorite character, I put Gordon. I'm more angry at the fact of how he was written, how he was set up as this villain when he has the same ideology as John Winchester, and John Winchester is revered in this show.
First thing you have to know is we have the coolest dad in the world. He's a superhero.
As a father that did as best as he could with the things that he had, which is not true. He did not do the best that he could at all. And Dean, like, I mean, there are times when they say,
My father was an obsessed bastard! All that crap he dumped on me about protecting Sam, that was his crap. He's the one who couldn't protect his family. He's the one who let Mom die. Who wasn't there for Sam. I always was. He wasn't fair. I didn't deserve what he put on me. And I don't deserve to go to hell.
that is like one of the few times that he actually criticizes John. The issue is that they give John the benefit of the doubt, or they give him so much more credit than they would ever give Gordon for the exact same ideology. They even call it out in the episode.
Go with Gordon.
Right, because Gordon's such an old friend. You don't think I can see what this is?
Talking
He's
about?
a substitute for Dad, isn't he? A poor one.
But then at the end of the episode, Dean is talking about how it was messed up the way John raised them.
About all the hunts we went on, Sammy, our whole lives.
Okay.
What if we killed things that didn't deserve killing? You know? I mean, the way Dad raised us.
Dean, after what happened to Mom, Dad did the best he could.
I know he did. The man wasn't perfect. And the way he raised us to hate those things, and man, I hate him.
They allow nuance for John, but not Gordon. I don't know. It makes me mad. Anyway, something that I noticed, everything is so disgustingly dirty. Like, the motels that they stay at, the houses that they go into that are like abandoned or whatever, obviously they're gonna be dirty. That's so stupid, but it's just something that I watch and I'm like, why is this house so gross? Like, even houses that people are living in are disgusting. And I'm like, why? No one would live in a house like this. Well, here's kind of a good thing. I noticed something that happens in the first 3 seasons is that there's a point of view change, kind of. The very first season is very evident that the show is supposed to be about Sam. The whole world of Supernatural revolves around Sam. Sam in his nursery at 6 months old, his mom dies on the ceiling. Sam's girlfriend dies the same way. Sam was gonna go to college, but now he's being pulled back into this life of hunting, and now he's with Dean. And okay, maybe the show's kind of about both of them, but really it's about Sam's journey with Dean. Then it changes. In season 2, the very first episode is about Dean, and it's from his perspective. He's literally in a coma, and we see, him trying to get out of it. And then after that episode, it's kind of both of them equally. When Dean makes that demon deal at the end of season 2, the entire season is about Dean and getting Dean out of the demon deal. So it kind of switches, and it never comes back. There are a few times here and there where we're getting Sam's perspective on things, but most of the time, the show from season 3 on is about Dean. It revolves around Dean. The relationships within the show are revolving around Dean. We have Dean's relationship with Sam, with Cass, with Charlie, with Lisa, with literally everyone else. And then we have Sam's relationships kind of with Ruby. Ruby is a very big one. Then in season 4, we have Sam and Ruby, but we also have Dean and Cass. It was Sam and Ruby in hell, and Dean and Cass in heaven. Those were the parallel storylines that season and 4, and I'll talk about that when I get to season 4 and 5, which is going to be next episode. But the show revolves around Dean now, and I think a lot of people would agree with me saying that. Some people would say that's a bad thing, but I believe it's a good thing, and I feel bad because I love Sam. But Dean is a more complex character and more interesting, at least to me. Agree with me, disagree with me, I don't care. So that's kind of the end of my show here, this episode. I decided to change the name of the series to Series About Series, which I like for a couple reasons. One, it sounds like you're saying serious about series. And I am. Also, that is exactly what it is. It is a series about series, because series is plural of series. And also, it's funny to me that if anyone has an iPhone, maybe me saying series so much is going to make their phones go off, which is hilarious. I don't have an iPhone. Okay, Google. Haha. Okay, never mind. Bye. Love you. I do tell Google I love it, so just saying. That's the kind of person that I am. So I'm pretty much done today. A couple things to end out this video. 1, I want to hear your opinions of Supernatural, the first 3 seasons, in the comments down below. What did you think about them? What did you think about this video that you watched? Do you agree with my opinions? Do you not agree with my opinions? Do you love Sam way more than I do? I'm sorry. I do love Sam. I don't hate him. I know I'm going to get people hating me on this because I've been in the fandom since 2012. I know what it's like. So I'm sure that there will be people that will comment on here or about me somewhere else that say, she's a Sam hater, or like, okay, a Dusty Heller is what they call people. Anyway, it's not me. I didn't do it. Anyway, I want to say thank you for watching this. And 2, I am excited for the rest of the series. 3, go check out the Dustin Wickham Show. I will link in the description. I did an interview with Dustin. He's a friend of mine that I went to school with, and he's starting the show on YouTube, and it's so fun. It's like he's talking to people about film and television and, the internet and all of that stuff, and it's really exciting. And it was so fun to talk to him. We talked for, 45 minutes or an hour or something. And it was so fun. I loved it. My interview with him is on his channel. I'm going to link to that. And please go check out all of his other videos and subscribe to him. He's amazing. Also, subscribe to me if you want to see more of this series. It's going to be a long series, guys. Now that I know how it's going to go, I'm going to be talking about seasons 4 and 5 next episode. And I swear it will be less negative. I promise you it will be less negative. Season 5 is one of my favorite seasons, so I have a lot of good things to say. I'm sorry that this was so negative. I really am. I don't like seasons 1 through 3 as much as everything else. I'm sorry. Like the video if you liked it, and share it with people if you want to. And remember that all of those links are in the description for petitions and charities, and the Black Lives Matter movement is very important. We need to keep it going, even though there's not as much coverage on the news and stuff like that. So just make sure that we are continuing to educate ourselves and calling out racism in our lives and everything like that. So please be a better ally to Black people along with me, and just be safe out there. Please actually take this pandemic seriously. I don't understand why people are still currently not wearing their masks while going out. It's so stupid. I don't understand. People wear masks for their job daily and are fine. I don't understand why you can't wear your mask just going out for like an hour. I don't understand. And don't go out to bars and dining in places. And I'm gonna stop talking, but basically just please do your part in trying to stop spread this virus. Like, I don't understand. I'll see you guys in the next video. It's gonna be awesome. Seasons 4 and 5. Angels. The Apocalypse. Lucifer. Okay, there's gonna be negativity in the next video. I forgot Lucifer is a thing. But Lucifer in seasons 4 and 5, well, season 5, is not as bad as Lucifer in season 11. So there's that to look forward to. Season 11, great. There are a lot of good things in season 11, but bringing back Lucifer, not one of them. Anyway, I'm going. See you later.